What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 90% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 90% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 90% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $580 just yesterday, and another member who won $600 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to the great AB who said let's get it, and shouts out to PJ Florida Vibes 8643 who said thank you again. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below on this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick, and when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is none other than Caitlyn Clark. So this one is a fantastic one for actually 4.5 rebounds, and this one is for less. Now looking at Caitlyn Clark, we actually have seen her go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games, and looking at those 5 games, you see on June 23rd faced off against the Las Vegas Aces and had 3 rebounds there. Then June 25th faced off against Seattle, had 2 rebounds. July 10th faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 5 rebounds. July 12th faced off against Atlanta and actually had 4 rebounds, then 3 rebounds against Dallas on July 14th. So we have seen some pretty interesting stat lines from Caitlyn Clark and actually, her matchups. But looking at this new matchup, we do see Indiana face off against Connecticut Sun. Now looking at where both of these teams do rank and where they do side, we do, starting off with Indiana, see that they rank 6th in the WNBA. They actually rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference and have a record of 11 wins and 10 losses. That's a 52.4% win percentage. They are 7-6 at home, 4-4 from away, and are currently on a actual 2-game win streak. Now they face off against Connecticut Sun, who are a little bit on the other side of the table, as they do rank 13th in the WNBA, so they actually rank last with a record of 3 wins, 18 losses, a 14.3% win percentage. And on top of that, also do have a record of 2-7 at home, 1-11 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. Now, when we look at Connecticut Sun, we actually do see that when it comes to Connecticut Sun, they do actually rank, when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank 13th. So why do we like the under for this situation? And there is 2 reasons for this. The first being that when it comes to Connecticut Sun, the defense that they do like to run is to focus and hone in on star players and try to restrict them as much as they can. And with Caitlyn Clark being such a polarizing figure for this Indiana Fever team, we are expecting a lot of the defensive focus to be on her. Now, when you add that to Connecticut Sun, and on top of the fact that Caitlyn Clark in the rebounding department has been very low usage rate wise. Like I mentioned, she has gone on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Her average over the last 5 is also 3.4. So it's definitely evident to us that her usage rate has remained low, and we are expecting that to be the same situation again coming into this game, due to the fact that Connecticut Sun will probably put a lot of their defensive pressure on stopping Caitlyn Clark in all facets, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. So coming into this game, we do very much like the under for this one. Now, looking at Caitlyn Clark even more, in depth, we do see when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have her favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, Caitlyn Clark, 4.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than actually Tina Charles. So as you all know, Tina Charles, great player. Now, there is only 2 games for today, so some of the games may be from the same matchup, but this one's a fantastic one for points, for 15.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Tina Charles, we actually have seen her go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on June 30th, faced off against Minnesota, had 4 points there. July 7th, faced off against the Las Vegas Aces, actually had 11 points. Then July 10th, faced off against Seattle, had 29 points. Then July 12th, faced off against Seattle again, had 20 points. And then had 9 points against LA Sparks on July 14th. So we have actually seen Tina Charles go on the under, like I mentioned, in 3 out of the last 5 games. And her average over the last 5 is also 14.6. Now, looking at this game, we do very much, like this matchup as Connecticut Sun face off against Indiana Fever. Now, we did just recently talk about it, but just to remind you all again, Connecticut Sun do rank last 13th in the WNBA, and they also have a record over the last 10 games, 1-9. So when we're looking on a more shorter basis, so the last 10 games, you see they are 1 from 9, and then Indiana Fever, they do rank 6, and in the last 10 games, they've actually been 5-5, so a little bit better than Connecticut Sun. But looking at Indiana Fever, we do see Indiana do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 6. So they still rank pretty, mid-tier, I would say. However, when we look at Indiana further, we also do see that they actually do a fantastic job at restricting points to the actual center position. And we definitely see someone like Tina Charles struggling due to this situation here. When it comes to Tina Charles, she is a great player, but when it comes to her usage rate in the points department, it's definitely very unpredictable. There's a lot of things to take into consideration, and definitely, I wouldn't say she isn't the highest scorer for this, the Connecticut Sun team, and that's a big reason why we have seen some of her matchups where she hasn't really performed too well in the scoring department. So, now, although Tina Charles has actually done a pretty decent job, scoring-wise, we have seen over the last 5 her usage rate has definitely been a little bit, on the lower side. And we are expecting coming into this next game, the fact that she has been on a little bit of a cold streak. Yes, she had a 29-point game against Seattle, but we did also see that Seattle, did do or had her score above her line twice. When we look at other matchups, we definitely have seen Tina struggle, and we should see a similar situation in this Indiana game. So looking at the bookies as well, we do actually see her going for the under, as the bookies agree with us there. So for that reason, Tina Charles, 15.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about another Indiana Fever player, and that is none other than Alli Boston. Now, this one's a great one for 15.5 points, and this one actually is for less. So, same line, different player. Now, this is obviously looking at Alli, and Alli over the last 5, we see on July 4th, faced off against the Aces, had 20 points there. July 6th, faced off against the LA Sparks, had 23 points. July 10th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 6 points. July 12th, faced off against Atlanta, had 19 points. And July 14th, faced off against Dallas, had 17 points. So we actually have seen, Alli actually go on the under in one of those 5 games, and her average over the last 5 is actually 17, so slightly above this line. However, we do also see that when we look at this next matchup, we do know they face off against Connecticut Sun. This is from the same game, but just to remind you all again where they both rank, we do know Fever ranks 6th, Connecticut Sun do rank actually 13th, so it's definitely been a little bit tough there. But looking at this matchup, we also do see that looking at, Connecticut Sun and where they do rank points wise, Connecticut Sun actually do rank 13th when it comes to points allowed. So the reason why, however, we do like the under for this situation here is that Connecticut Sun actually do a fantastic job at restricting points to the big man position, or big woman position in this case. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Although Alli Boston, when you look at the last 5 games, she's definitely had some big games going on the over, beating her line pretty easily. But you also look at the matchup and you do actually see that she's faced off against much easier teams. Dallas, Sparks, Aces, when it comes to scoring, we also have seen that those teams do struggle and do a very poor job at restricting points to the, the big position. And for that reason, we definitely have seen Alli Boston take advantage of that. But as I always mention, it really does depend on matchups. That's what's most important. And with a matchup like this, we are expecting someone like Alli Boston actually to be more likely to go on the under. And, you know, when it comes to Alli Boston, we should see her have a similar matchup like she did with Golden State Valkyries. Valkyries is one of the tougher matchups, and we did see her definitely struggle. So it's definitely evident that when we actually do, you know, see Alli Boston face off against tougher teams, she definitely does struggle from the field. So for that reason, Alli Boston 15.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Sonia Rivers. Now, as you all know, Sonia Rivers, great player for none other than Connecticut Sun, and she's actually done a fantastic job so far this season because we've actually seen her average 8.3 points, 3.1 rebounds, 3 assists, and also get 1.7 steals. So they have done a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at this team, we do see against Connecticut Sun, they do face off against Indiana Fever. Now, it's definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams, but where we see both of these teams do rank, we do actually see Connecticut Sun have had a pretty tough start to the season because they actually rank 13th in the WNBA. So they actually rank last, which is unfortunate. They do have a record of actually 3 wins and also 18 losses. That's a 14.3% win percentage. They're also 2-7 from home, 1-11 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So it's definitely been a little bit tough there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do actually see they face off against Fever, who have done a little bit better because they actually find themselves in the 6th spot in the WNBA. And on top of that, they also do have a record of 11 wins, 10 losses. That's a 52.4% win percentage. And also are 7-6 at home, 4-4 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So it's definitely been, you know, pretty good for Indiana Fever. Now, obviously, they are, you know, pushing to try to get as many wins as possible and get into a better situation, but they have done pretty well so far. Now, coming into this game, we do actually see defensively, Indiana Fever do actually rank pretty well in some categories, as they do actually rank 6th when it comes to points allowed, first when it comes to assists allowed, and first when it comes to rebounds allowed. So when it comes to Sonia Rivers, we do actually like the under for this situation here. But like I mentioned before, when we look at this matchup, we do actually see that, you know, Indiana Fever do rank a little bit better in rebounds and assists. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for those, you know, two kind of categories, I would say. You know, I definitely would stay a little bit away from points due to the fact that Fever do rank a little bit lower. So I definitely see a lot more advantage, you know, going on the under and for that in rebounds and assists. Now, looking at Sonia Rivers, she also doesn't have the highest usage rate in these two departments, and that definitely works out, you know, in their favor, because we do believe that other players in this Connecticut Sun team are going to take away from Sonia Rivers' advantage, since, you know, Indiana Fever just do a great job in general. So we are expecting the Stars to have a little bit more in the usage rate in the reboundings and assists, and it can definitely, you know, take away from Sonia coming into this matchup. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, looking at the last 5 games, you definitely have seen her play some pretty interesting matchups. We do see on the 30th face-off against Minnesota, had a 102-63 loss there. Now, she actually had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist in that matchup. Then on the 7th face-off against Las Vegas Aces, had an 86-68 loss with 10 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist there. Then on back-to-backs faced off against Seattle Storm, first on the 10th, which was a 93-83 victory with 11 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and also 4 steals. Then on the 12th faced off against Storm again with a 79-65 loss with 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists there. Then faced off against LA Sparks on the 14th, had a 92-88 loss with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So it's definitely been pretty interesting. Now coming into this next matchup, we do very much like the under, like I mentioned, for rebounds and assists. And we definitely have seen Sonia against tougher teams really do struggle in the rebounding and assist department, like she did against Minnesota Lynx, who do actually rank high in rebounds and assists as well. So we are expecting a similar situation, coming into this next game for someone like Sonia Rivers. So keep an eye out for the under for this one. Like I mentioned, focus on rebounds and assists, and the line is too close to our averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player we're going to be talking about, none other than Julie Vanloo. Now, as you all know, Julie Vanloo, great player. Now, we do actually see that she's averaged 4.5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and also 0.5 steals. So, she's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, coming into this game, we do actually see, when it comes to Julie, we do see her, play a pretty decent role for Los Angeles Sparks, not really the biggest, and they do face off against Washington Mystics. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know, starting off with LA Sparks, they rank 11th when it comes to their WNBA ranking. They have a record of 7 wins, 14 losses. That's a 33.3% win percentage. They are 2-8 from home, 5-6 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. Now, on top of that, they face off against Mystics, as we mentioned. The Mystics do have a record of 11 wins, 10 losses, and they actually rank 7th in the WNBA. Now, on top of that, they have a record of 7 wins, 3 losses, 4-7, 4 away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak as well. And looking at Washington Mystics and where they do rank, we do see Mystics ranking and tied at 6 when it comes to points allowed. They're ranked 3rd when it comes to assists allowed, and then 2nd when it comes to rebounds allowed. So similar to Indiana Fever, they rank a little bit lower in that points, but rank very well in rebounds and assists. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also see and focusing on rebounds and assists, as we've mentioned, but we do look at the last 5 games and do see something pretty interesting. Now, we actually see Julie Vanloo over the last 5. She actually recently played off against LA Sparks, and a big reason for that is that when it comes to LA Sparks, they actually acquired her recently. So we actually see in her first game over the last 5, she actually faced off against the Sparks, had an 89-81 win in overtime. Now, she actually had 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists there. Then faced off against New York Liberty on the 4th, had an 89-79 loss with 0 all around, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. Then faced off against Indiana Fever with an 89-87 victory with 3 points, 0 rebounds, and 2 assists. Then we saw her face off against Minnesota Lynx with a 91-82 loss with 15 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists there. And also faced off against Connecticut Sun, had a 92-88 victory with 0 points, 0 rebounds, and 2 assists again. Now, a big reason why we do like the under for this is that when we look at this matchup, we do also see when it comes to Julie Vanloo and her new team, she hasn't really had the same usage rate that she did have with her previous team. And that's why, and we are expecting the under for this situation. We are expecting the lines to come out and really be a little bit more, I would say, more focused on her time in her other team. But now that she does play for the Sparks, she definitely has a different role, different amount of minutes, and you can definitely see that. As in the most recent game with her older team, she had 32 minutes, and her max minutes in LA Sparks has only been 17. So, we definitely see a difference there, and that's why we do like the under for rebounds and assists. She also doesn't have the highest usage rate in those 2 departments, so we definitely see that affecting it greatly. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for this situation. As I always mentioned, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to our averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Natasha Howard. Now, Natasha Howard, great player, and we actually do see that Natasha Howard has been doing fantastic, averaging 11.5 points, also 6.4 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and also 1 steal. So she's actually done a fantastic job. Now, we definitely have seen her do a great job, as she does face off against Connecticut Sun in this next matchup. Now, looking at Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun, we do actually see this matchup, as we've mentioned before, but we do know that Connecticut Sun do rank 13th in the WNBA. They also rank last in the Eastern Conference, and over the last 10 games, they actually have a record of 1 win and 9 losses. So it's definitely been a bit of a struggle there. Then they face off against Indiana Fever, and we do know Indiana Fever we do know that they ranked 6th in the WNBA, but also ranked 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Now, they actually, have done pretty well over the last 5. They have a record of 5 wins and 5 losses over the last 10 games. Now, definitely could be better, but, still somewhat average. And looking at Connecticut Sun defensively, however, we do actually see Connecticut Sun ranking 13th when it comes to points allowed, 12th when it comes to assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, they also do rank 13th. So, coming into this one, we do very much like the over for this situation here. When we look at someone like, Natasha Howard, yes, she is a great player, but she also does have a decent usage rate, in some of these departments. Now, she does have a lower usage rate in assists, and that's why I definitely would focus a little bit more on points and rebounds to see her go on the over. Now, a big reason for this as well is that, when it comes to prize picks, they tend to only release lines when it comes to, categories that players do have a decent amount of usage rate in. And the fact that Natasha Howard do have a better usage rate in that points and rebounds, we are definitely expecting the over, but I think points and rebounds is definitely where you're going to see prize picks release a line for. Now, looking at the last 5 games, we do see some pretty interesting things. We see it faced off against the Las Vegas Aces, had an 81-54 win with 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then faced off against the Sparks, and I actually had an 89-87 loss with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then faced off against Golden State Valkyries on the 10th and had an 80-61 loss with 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Then on the 12th, faced off against Atlanta Dream, had a 99-82 victory with 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 0 assists. Then on the 14th, faced off against Dallas Wings, had a 102-83 victory with 18 points, 2 rebounds, and also 0 assists there. So, it's definitely been interesting. We have seen Natasha Howard take advantage against poor defensive teams, and we are definitely expecting to see a similar situation in this next game for sure. So, for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the over for someone like Natasha. We see a lot of value there for her to go on the over, especially if the line is under her averages. But as I've mentioned, keep an eye out mainly for points and rebounds for sure. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Jade Melbourne. So, Jade Melbourne, great player, as we all know. Now, she's done a fantastic job for Washington Mystics, averaging 6.2 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and also 0.6 steals. So, we definitely have seen her do a fantastic job there. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know that the Mystics face off against the Los Angeles Sparks. And just to remind you all as well, where both of these teams do rank, we do know that, starting off with Washington Mystics, they do rank 7th in the WNBA, but also rank 4th in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 11 wins and 10 losses. That's a 52.4% win percentage. They're 7-3 at home, 4-7 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak as well. So, it's definitely been big there. Now, looking at the matchup that they do face off against, which is the LA Sparks, we do see that the LA Sparks do have a record of 11 in the WNBA, but on top of that, they also rank 6th in the actual Western Conference as well. So it's definitely been tough there. Now, they have a record over the last 10 of 3-7, are currently on a 1-game win streak. And then like we mentioned, Mystics do have a record of 7-3 over the last 10. So, a bit of vice versa there. Now, coming into this game, looking at LA Sparks and where they do rank defensively, we do actually see that they rank 12th when it comes to points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, they do actually rank 11th. And then rebounds allowed, they also do rank 4th. So we actually have seen them rank pretty low in other categories and pretty high in others. However, coming into this next one, we do actually like the over for this situation for someone like Jade Melbourne, but this one is strictly 4 points. Now, a big reason being that, Los Angeles Sparks do rank very low in points. Now, another reason why we are focusing a little bit more on points than rebounds and also assists is due to the fact that Jade Melbourne is a guard, and we actually do see that Sparks do a very poor job at restricting points to actually Jade Melbourne's position. So that's a big reason why we definitely are expecting her to go on the over. Now, when it comes to Melbourne's usage rate out there, it's definitely up in the air. Some games she does end up shooting quite a lot and making a lot of shots. Other games she has a bit of a cold streak. So coming into this next one, however, we do very much like the over for this situation here. And when we look at her last 5 games, you saw her face off against the Las Vegas Aces, had a 94-83 win with 2 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. Then faced off against Minnesota Lynx with a 92-75 loss with 6 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists there. Then faced off against Chicago, had a 7 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Then Las Vegas Aces on the 11th had 4 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. And then after that, on the 14th, faced off against Seattle, had 3 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists there. So we actually have seen Jade Melbourne do fantastic in some games. Other games hasn't really done too well. But coming into this next one, we do very much like the over 4 points for someone like Jade Melbourne. So keep an eye out for that for sure.